So this is the first test of the Predator mask packed into the sand. I'm basically working it out in such a way that the bottom box, which you can see here, is packed with a thinner degree of sand because it has a large mound in the top. Some of these gaps have opened up a little bit, but I'm not terribly worried about that. But I'll take off this tape now so that I can start working on the top half to see whether or not the whole idea is going to work at all. Okay, that's it with the tape taken off. There's been a little bit of seam movement underneath the tape. The pieces are still fairly flush on top, so it really shouldn't matter. That's the graphite added and the top box added. The sides have been locked down so I can do the flip over procedure and hopefully get the pattern out. Now it's just a matter of filling it up with sand. That's the box now separated into its two halves. So you can see how that's kind of worked, but we've lost this detail in here, and the same thing on the other side there. So this is where now this bottom box becomes a sacrificial mould, and we'll repack it to pick up this lost detail around the edge, and then hopefully when it separates for the second time, we'll have a perfect mould. That's the top part of the mould now flipped. And the bits that needed repair inside the mould I've actually patched back up. Now I need to attach the other half, which will be the bottom again, and repack it so that we can actually flip it once more. As you can see, I've used up the maximum volume of sand I've got. I have been able to actually cut an entrance into the actual top of it to allow the metal in, but in doing it I haven't been able to cut any risers. I'm hoping that the shape of the mask itself and the fact that the bottom box is fairly loosely packed with sand will allow for enough gas expansion for all the metal to find its way through into the mould. So it's time to fire up the furnace and see if I can now produce enough liquid metal to actually get it filled. That's the raw piece out of the sand with the top bits cut off and that sort of stuff. As I suspected, my metal volume was low, so I actually had to pour the metal in 2 batch lots, which is not the most ideal way of doing it because you actually can get a cooling seam, which is what I've got here. So the trick now is I'm actually going to hit this with a grinder, see whether or not that cooling seam is actually fused correctly, like I hope it has. And if it has, it means that I've actually got a usable piece here. It does feel very solid, so it does feel like it's fused together, but it's this seam line here that I need to find out whether or not I've got a good fusion point or not. this looks like it's one of those instances where I was fully expecting it to fail, but it looks like I've had a win. The joins seem to be disappearing really nicely. I haven't tried it with a smoother surface yet, but even based on what I can see there at the moment, a little bit of surface irregularity will probably just sort of match into the character of the piece. So I'm not worried a little bit, providing it's actually got the structural strength and it's joined fairly well, which at this stage it seems like it has. So onward and upward, looking pretty good so far. So that's most of the first stage cleanup done. I've gone through and had a look at the areas that are going to be problematic in terms of the seams, but given the style and the finish that I'm actually going for, I'm actually quite happy with it. Those little bits and pieces are actually going to add to the weathering that I was going to add to it anyway, and they seem to be in a position that's not going to detract from the overall look of it once the actual finish is put on it. Tomorrow I'll actually start drilling out the eyes. I had a bit of a sand collapse on one eye there. The other eye is a lot better by comparison, so it shouldn't be too hard to follow the outline of the eye and then file that out, so that's a lot neater. I've already drilled out where the laser's going to go, but that needs tidying up a little bit as well. But it's back into one solid piece, and overall I'm pretty happy with it. So that's pretty much the update for this time, guys. Thanks for watching. Talk to you next time.